This episode of Muddy River Gems is brought to you by Dot Foods.
I think what it comes down to is the culture and the people.
Our culture here at Dot is like no other. I've never experienced anything like what I've lived with for the last 12 years.
Dot is very diverse.
It is truly a family-owned business, but it is a family inside and out.
You always feel like you matter and you play a big hand in the pot.
There's so many opportunities to make a difference at Dot and really contribute to the success of the organization.
Would you expect to find a performing arts center worthy of one of the finest universities in Rushville? Well, thanks to an anonymous donor, not only does that arts center exist, but also a very rare musical instrument.
There you go.
Toby Washburn, wow, what an instrument, huh?
It is pretty great to play.
You're a great player, but this instrument is really special.
It really is.
Tell us about it. What's the background of this instrument?
Well, fun little fact about this instrument, it has never left the state of Illinois. Originally started life out in Quincy, Illinois, and it was there for a number of years. It eventually went into storage, and then the previous owner, Bill Bartlow, who was just living right down the street from here.
We knew Bill, and we knew Bill when he had the organ. We did a story about him back then.
I remember that. That's right. So that would be, I believe, the second owner there. That's kind of where it went. And then our company, J.L. Weiler, brought it on to our workshop, and we started restoring it. And it took about 3 to 4 years to really start to finish restored.
So everything, all the innards, the console, everything had to be taken, what, up to Chicago? Is that where the work was done?
Correct. Yes. We have a nice industrial warehouse right there in the city, right outside the loop, and we set it up in the shop. We played it. We had to make sure everything was working. Packed it all up, put it in a truck, and ta-da!
Wow!
And
now part of this program is actually going to see how all of the innards of this organ are, where it's all stored, and how it all sort of gets coordinated in the final sound, because it takes rooms and rooms to hold all the aspects of this, doesn't it?
This organ takes up 4 rooms. The one we are currently in right now, which is where the console lives. We have 2 rooms for chambers, one on either side for pipes, And the fourth room is down in the basement, and that houses the computer and the blower, which provides all the air for the instrument.
It's special to be able to play one. There aren't many of these left, I guess, are there?
There's a handful left that are in this condition anyways. Granted, there are some floating around, but in this condition, very few.
Yeah, yeah. So it's an honor, isn't it?
It really is special to play this instrument.
And you also get in on the restoration aspect. I assume that you were part of that process. Huh?
I moved to Chicago in the Wisconsin area about 2 years ago, back end of 2022. So I came in about halfway through this restoration and did what I could to help out. And one of my main aspects and contribution to this project was wiring the entire instrument up into the chambers and down to the computer.
Wow.
There's over 2,000 wires from point to point I've had to strip, keep track of, and solder on the
Did anybody ever figure out the measurement of those wires? Are we talking about a mile of wires or 2 miles of wires? Or
miles
miles
of
of
wires.
wires. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Well, thank you for joining us on this one. We're going to talk to you some more about the innards, and I think these are called shutters. Are those called shutters?
Shutters, expression shades, yes.
And those things, boy, when you open those up, you get a lot of sound, don't you? And also, this new center, this Performing Arts Center, is just remarkable. What a gift for Rushville and Schuyler County, and for the school. I mean, it's just it's a remarkable project. And thank you for joining us on it.
And thank you for having me.
Tonya Woods, this facility hasn't been open very long, but the planning has been going on for a long time, and you've been involved in that with the Sky. Is it SkyPack? Is that what the group and the school for years?
Yes.
And it finally happened, and it's a beautiful facility.
It is. We still can't believe it's really here and ours. And yeah, I remember the day that Dr. Freitag came into my room and said, "The donor called me," and I must have had a dumb look on my face because he said, "The donor." And he said they want to build an auditorium. And no, I didn't think I'd ever hear that or live to see it happen. So,
you know, Rushville's very fortunate because earlier, about a couple of years ago, we did a story about the athletic center, the fitness center. You know, that was also a donor helped build that, and now this, and you know, there just aren't many communities Rushville size that has a facility like this.
we have tremendous philanthropists in our town.
Take us through. Let's take a walk through the stage.
All right. So the stage is 100 feet approximately, wall to wall. This is our fly system. It controls our curtains, and we have many curtains. We have 5 sets of side curtains and 3 traveling curtains. We have a scrim that allows us to do special effects behind it. We have cyclorama, a muslin that comes down. We light that up for for the background. So that's what this is. This is fly system. Right now we still have
You've still got a set up here from an old play.
We do. We did Mamma Mia in March, and then the community group did a children's show during the summer and used our set, so we still haven't taken it apart. But we'll have to do that soon because we're getting ready to start another show.
Well, the show must go on.
It must. And the music teacher, the vocal music teacher, uses this as her classroom. So some of the things that you see are everyday things. So, and we have the computer that interacts with the
Can we take a look at
organ.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That interacts with what?
It interacts with the organ. So if they want to, they can play the organ from here. They can play recorded things.
Okay. All right. So if you have if you don't have a live organist for the moment, you can come in. He or she can come in and record, and it'll sound exactly as it did. Okay.
And you'll see
digital.
The instruments moving upstairs as it's
we get
played.
to see that a little later.
Yeah.
You even have a set building
We do.
side here.
And this is like heaven for us because we've always had to build on the stage, and then the curtains get sawdust on them and paint.
Yeah. Or build off site and haul it all in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So now we can build in here. Somebody donated some foam board, and we have a storage system that we need to assemble to store it. But right now, in the off season, the shop is a storage facility as well. So.
Okay, how about, let's see, there has to be a lot of technical stuff with this because you got sound and lights and curtains and everything have to be controlled from somewhere else. And you've got a board that does that.
We do.
And you operate that at times, don't you?
I do.
Okay, let's go take a look. Okay, Tonya, so how many microphones can you support from here? I mean, you have to control whatever's going on stage, right?
Right. Technically, we have 30 channels, 32 channels. We have 16 body mics, wireless mics that we use during performances. But we also have a number of handheld microphones, and we have inputs from the pit. When we have a live orchestra, we have the pit feeds it. There's a board in the pit, and it talks to this. So those are some of the inputs. There are floor boxes scattered around the stage.
We saw the organ come up out of the pit.
Yes.
It's a big pit. How many instruments can you have? It looked like maybe 10, 12 down there.
I would say 12 probably is about as many as we ever have. We have some people who play in the pit who are here today. They would be able to answer that.
Yeah, but it's made for really professional. It's an orchestra.
Yes.
And show me the lighting system here, because this is the house. Is this the house system or the?
This is the house system. So I can raise and lower house lights. I can turn the work lights on and off if I want to. I can control the power to the lighting console upstairs, and I can lock so that people don't accidentally turn the house lights on during a performance.
That's very good.
So,
That's very good. And whoever works up, now there's another, I don't know what this is called, a board. That is called a control room? Is that okay? So
That's
just
where
above us here would be where you would control the lighting that's actually on the stage. So if you wanted to spotlight or highlight something on the stage, all that would happen from up there.
Right, and I always program the lights prior to the performances. So during a performance, all we have to do is hit the go button, and the lights will cycle through their program.
Were you involved in theater performances before this was built?
Yes.
Tell me the comparison.
So we called our stage the Cafegimatorium because it was between a cafeteria and a gym, and the stage was temporary, built on risers, and for 3 weeks we would get half of the gym and be able to push some of the stage out into the gym. But we put on some wonderful performances in that space. So
it's a little easier now.
Oh yes, yes. I don't have to take the lights down. I have 120 lights. I don't have to take them down and store them. They live on their light bars.
Thanks, Tonya. If you're not afraid of heights, you can even make it up here on the catwalk overlooking the theater. We'll have more from the Performing Arts Center in Rushville after this message from Dot Foods.
From our trucks to their lunch trays, to your local hospital, to your favorite pub, and to your kitchen table. For more than 60 years, Dot Foods and Dot Transportation have been stocking the shelves of your hometown. Sure, we've grown a lot, but at our core, we're still small-town, family-run businesses that care about our communities and the people who keep us running. Join the Dot family today and be part of something bigger.
Why work at Dot?
You could list out individual qualities forever.
There's a lot of opportunities. They take care of the employees, they take care of the community.
So our pay, our benefits, it's competitive. Time off, tons of flexibility.
They're willing to work with you to help you advance.
Well, Toby, we're in the blower room, but in the blower room is also these keys or whatever these are. This is the original guts, isn't it? That would tell the organ what sound to make.
This is the original relay to the organ.
Relay, okay.
Relay as the term, taking information and relaying it to the next part of the instrument. So originally the way this would work is from the console would be physically hardwired to this controller, and a cable about the size of a soda can probably, a couple thousand wires. One wire per one function, that's all it did. So what it did, whenever you pressed a key, let's take middle C for example. Play middle C, it'll come down here and make one of these little pneumatics down here close. And when it closes, there's a contact bar that technically energizes every possible variation of middle C on that keyboard. And then from there, it sends all that information up into here, which is called the switchboard. And based on what sounds you have turned on the stop rail, all these things will come up and play that variation of middle C based on what's turned on.
So what's the delay time on that? I mean,
milliseconds.
You're kidding.
Tiny.
It was that sophisticated
In
the 20s.
Lightning fast.
Wow.
This stuff is, if it were still completely original, minus computer enhancements, it would still technically be faster than a modern day system.
But you do have some help, some modern day
We
help
do.
over here.
We have an interface control over here, and this is a modern day relay, which is called Uniflex. As their trademark, it's uniquely flexible because it can do anything to control an organ. The hard part is just figuring out how to make it do it. So this is what are called, these cards right here are called output boards. And what they do is they output 12 volts DC from every wire, gets connected to a function on this controller, which then transmits the information out into the rest of the organ. And the reason we went with a Uniflex system is because of the record and playback functionality of it. So whenever an organist were to play something in, you hit record, stop it, and it'll play it back exactly as you just played it. Plus, it's all controlled over a standard Ethernet cable.
Wow.
And that's it.
Seems pretty simple, although it's very sophisticated. This still kills me about how advanced this whole system was in the 1920s. Nothing works though without air.
Well, of course,
you gotta have the air.
This whole instrument is powered by air, even down to making the stop keys move, to opening the valves underneath the pipes, to making the tambourines move. You need air to make this thing go.
Okay, and that's what this is. The blower. This forces the air up.
Yes.
To the organ.
It's just a big fan or an air pump that pressurizes a whole wind line system that just feeds air to every part that needs it.
Okay, how do you turn this thing on?
Well, in this specific situation, we're going to do it this way.
Music actually comes from two chambers on each side of the organ. We're going to go up into the solo chamber where these shutters are seen open and closing to see what's going on up there. Toby, we would be doing this with the organ playing, but it's so loud we couldn't hear each other talk.
A little bit.
And you told me that you can pretty much make the organ play from here, and that way at least the audience can get a look at how the sounds are made and how they're delivered.
Of course.
So get us started.
Yeah, so to kind of work in from the door towards the back here, looking right here at this big box right here, this is what's called the manual chest, which is primarily consists of all the pipes that you would play on the manuals on the console. So from starting at this set of pipes, working our way forward, this guy is called an orchestral oboe. We have a trumpet, which is number 2, and the wooden one is a tibia. Now that is essentially the heart and soul sound of what a theater organ is made up of.
Tibia.
A tibia.
Okay.
Which is Latin for flute in a sense. And then the very front one, just again for your Latin scholars, is called a vox humana, which is meant to imitate a choir off in the distance.
A human voice.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can see up there where that little red marking says solo, that is the back side of the shutters, which open and close to let the sound out into the audience.
Okay, when you open those wide, that's when you really get a blast of sound.
That's full
right?
volume.
Okay.
Yeah. So organs are very unique in a sense where in their simplest forms, these are really just a big box of whistles. And to keep a whistle in tune, you have to play it at a precise pressure, precise duration, and unfortunately it only plays at one volume, and that is loud. So which is why we have the shutters to contain the sound or let it out.
Yeah.
All right. So moving a little bit forward, this guy right in front of me now, this is our real marimba. This is an actual marimba harp, and you can see there are resonators, there are bars up in here. It's stacked just so it can fit a little better, but I can... Yep. We have tubular chimes in the back. Unfortunately, I can't get to those because they're about 10 feet up right now.
Yeah.
We have a crash cymbal up in the top, a bass drum in the corner. What else do we have?
Let us see that bass drum. Hold on. We're getting there. We're getting there.
There's a lot of stuff hidden in here. We got a bass drum up there. We have 2 notes of the trumpet right here, which I can actually play. Just, where is it? Yep. Then, moving right along, this whole section right here are it's called the toy counter or the traps. depending where you're from or how you call it. That's what it is. This contains all of our fun sound effects, like our snare drum or tom-tom. We have a tap cymbal, we have a Chinese block, horse hooves, we have a boat whistle, tambourine, we have a fire gong, and there's a little tiny triangle sitting up over there.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, so if I come over here, I can... Yeah. What else we have? On top of us up here, the lower section is the xylophone, and the one directly above it is the glockenspiel, or orchestra bells. What else do we have in here? We have this beautiful piece of wiring, and this is what is called a union board. And this takes the wires from the relay downstairs and brings it to a junction point instead of running one long wire for installation, you know. Run one set of wires, wire it, and then you can install as you go and wire to this. Directly below the chest now, these bellows down here, or regulators as we call them, take the raw wind pressure from the blower and regulate it down to a manageable pressure that the pipes respond to. And they all work on very different pressures, so that's why we have 3 in here. And as we call it, the wind system, there are multiple sets of pipes on different wind systems, so we can have multiple tremulants, shake different tones differently to give it a different type of color. And that's just a very, very brief introduction of what's in here.
And this is just the solo side. There's a whole nother side.
Just
over
the
there.
solo side. This only contains 4 sets of pipes and the fun sound effects. On the other side of the room, we have the other 4 sets of pipes.
Wow. Nancy Bartlow Jorgensen, you were Bill's brother. We mentioned Bill several times during this program.
Yes.
He was the one that saved that organ after the theater in Quincy rejected it or was torn down. He saved it, installed it in his house, built onto his house, in fact, so that he could acquire, make the organ work. And then he passed away, unfortunately, and it became available. And it's interesting how it stayed in Rushville. Isn't that wonderful?
It is. Well, his boys and his daughter-in-law were very instrumental in wanting to do that. And that was Jeff Bartlow and his wife Jean. Jean was principal in finding people to fix it up and sell it to, and then they decided that they wanted to give it to the school and or to the community, and the community has welcomed it.
Yeah, well, it took a lot of pieces working together. The donor, your family, the Sky Pack group, everybody had to want this really badly because it was not an easy thing to do, was it?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. And we still struggle sometimes with it, but it's been the thing to do, I think.
Yeah. When you hear it, it kind of seems all worth it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Really does. And I also think that Bill would be pleased, and Margie, that was Bill's wife.
Yeah. Chris Trone, here we are back in the set building room. We looked at this earlier, and it's just adjacent to the stage, and we're kind of looking at the back, at the inner workings of the stage area. And you are on the board, and you've been involved in this ever since the planning started. So you know that, gee whiz, we had fits and starts, and we went a little over a budget, but we finally got where we needed to be, and now it's fully functional, isn't it?
It is. And actually, I was on the board until just before the project was completed, but stayed with the project. So, and it's been about 6 years since we started this thing.
It's a gift to the school and to the community.
Oh,
we're going to show why the school benefits so much, because we're going to go up through the dressing room and into the commons area, and that's used every day by the students. And
yes.
Let's go that way and work our way up. This is pretty special too. I mean, not every school, play group gets a dressing room like this.
And our plays are, very, very good. They're not your average plays, I would not think, for a lot of schools.
Well, you certainly had the facility to do.
We do now.
It right, don't you?
They did exceptional plays before. I just, if you could have seen Mary Poppins and some of these other plays that they had, they're just exceptional.
Okay, I talked about the commons area, and this is where it actually joins the school building.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's this area
original-
used for?
Well, it's everyday use. The kids eat here, and they just have activity between sports and the performing arts. So you get through those purple doors is a 1962 gym.
Uh-huh.
And it's holds about 1,500 people or more, and it's where everything happens. It has always happened since the beginning of this school, which took about 5 referendums to get done in that day.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they got a little smaller, but this has been a school where we used to have 500 kids when I was in school.
Yeah.
In the school.
Yeah.
And they fit in here somehow.
Yeah.
And now it's maybe 300 kids, and they have a hard time fitting into 300 kids.
Let's take a walk. Okay, so restrooms, of course, but you can set up a box office here anytime you have a play or any kind of a
and
performance.
A lot of times they'll set at each door entry on north and south side and monitor the people coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And they either take tickets or sell tickets or whatever. And the same thing for the athletic events, except they're going this way. You get the plays on this side, and all the other activity. And then the new office space is over there. And as you enter that hallway, that's again, you're going back into the old school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, it's just like stepping back in time for all of us, because that's where we grew up.
You know, we haven't talked much about this because it's not a subject we can explore much, about the fact that there was a donor, anonymous donor, who promised this: if the organ got done and if the stage and the theater got done, then that donation was. You were good to go with that donation. You ran over a little bit, didn't you?
Yes.
And in fact, I guess the donor never lost patience with you. The donor said, okay, if it's taken that long and it costs that much.
Well, obviously they would have liked to have done it sooner, but I think they're very pleased. And this performance we had with the organ, 6 years waiting, but when we had Richard Hill here, I think they were ecstatic of the results, because it was everything we expected.
Mm-hmm. Now, Richard Hill was part of the package, right? And he's a well-known organist. Is he from England?
He is from London.
London.
And he actually is an ongoing performer there every week, Friday and Saturday, and one of the famous locations there. And he also teaches. But he really enjoyed being here, and we're hoping to have him back next June. Him and Simon Geldhill, who were basically, say, the 2 best players in the world, and they're going to do a duet with the organ and the grand piano, a 1916 Steinway that we have also, that kind of came through the Bartlow family, Crandall family, and they've done that duet before worldwide, so it's going to be something to look forward to.
Well, it sure will. I would imagine that would be a hard ticket to get.
Yeah, I think that once people realize what's here, and it's on the first performance we were nearly full, but you just don't know what you're getting into. And like when you heard the sound, you realize you can't control that sound. It is what it is, and it's amazing. And with the space we have that they make it in, it sounds very, very good. But as far as trying to have a conversation while they're playing, it is not something you can do. You just got to sit back and enjoy it.
You're listening. That's what you're doing.
You just enjoy the sound. But again, with those hard walls and just the typical design we have, the artists have said this is one of the better sounding organs of this type they've ever heard. So that's kind of a nice thing too, because they didn't have to say that.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great tour. And people that haven't heard about Rushville's new Performing Arts Center and this wonderful Wurlitzer organ that used to be, was it the Orpheum in Quincy originally? When they tore that down, it found a home in Rushville.
1958, it migrated over here.
Mr. Bartlow, bequeathed it to your group, and now the donor had it restored and set up, and what a remarkable story. Yeah.
The 3 non-negotiables were delivered on this project, so that was really good, and including the organ. And again, going back to that original conversation about how to do it the right way, we actually did that.
Let's listen to one more tune before we leave.
Very good.
In addition to performances by the high school and the Schuyler Performing Arts Center, this beautiful place will be host in June to those world-class musicians on the piano and the organ. With another Muddy River Gem in Rushville, brought to you by Dot Foods, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
This episode of Muddy River Gems was brought to you by Dot Foods.